Highly successful individuals are always focused on what's next, but they often don't take time to reflect on their journey and how far they've come. I'm Craig Heatherly, host of the Path Less Travel podcast, where we dive into the journeys of extraordinary leaders. Their success rarely follows a straight path, and that's what makes their story so remarkable. Now let's dive into this week's episode after a brief message from our sponsors. Looking for top talent in tech or professional fields? Avero Talent connects businesses with exceptional candidates specializing in tailored recruiting solutions that match the right skills to your team's needs. Whether you're building a team or searching for a tough-to-fill position, Avero Talent delivers the expertise you need to hire smarter, faster, and with confidence. Let us help you find your next star employee.
At Cressy Leadership, we don't just train leaders, we transform business and change lives. Employees learn to communicate around difficult challenges. Leaders build skills that create a thriving culture. Companies become healthier and more successful. We're Erin Cressy, Mickey Hay, and Anna McEachran, your expert partners, trainers, and coaches. Join the organizations already thriving with Cressy Leadership.
Travel podcast. This week we feature Peg Dalton, the owner of PEGGS restaurant downtown South Bend. Peg, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
You know, I do research leading into these, and I saw something. I read something actually, and I want to repeat it because I think it's an important place to start. Your mission statement. People are at the heart of our business, and food is the way we serve them. Through our engaging team, we are adding to the strength of the city we love and to the happiness of the people who live here. I think it's safe to say this place is pretty special. Tell us about PEGGS.
Sure. Thank you for saying that. It's always good to be reminded of the mission statement. I treat this place and the people that come in like my home, as do our people that work here. And that's really important to me. So I do stand in the entryway most of the time, welcoming the customers in. That's really important to me, to say hello and goodbye to people and thank them for being here. I have such a great team around me that understands that mission, and we live it. We live it every day. We live it with every customer, I believe, to welcome people, to help them start their day right or end their day right, or for them to have their special occasion here. We try to make it even more special. So something that probably is a little innate in me, and I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by a team that understands that and helps us live out that mission. So we love South Bend. I love South Bend. I've lived here all of my life, with the exception of the time I spent in Bloomington as a student, and then I worked there for a couple years. But I love South Bend, and I know we're an important part of it. It's breakfast and lunch, but it's way more than that for all of us. So,
a big thank you to Senior One Care for sponsoring today's episode. Founded in 2006 by Carl and Kyle Bossing, this family-owned business has provided compassionate in-home care for nearly 2 decades. If my family needed a caregiver, I'd call Kyle. With 6 Indiana locations, they give you the peace of mind while your loved ones receive the care they deserve. Learn more at senior1care.com. You started this in 2001, correct?
That's right.
What? Tell me what it was like jumping in the deep end and saying, I'm gonna do this.
Sure.
What was that experience like?
Sure. Well, I had 2 business partners at the time that wanted to invest some money into opening what was then Le Peep. And Le Peep required them to have a working partner who had a number of years of experience in the restaurant business, which I did. So I was grateful that they gave me the opportunity, and we had a great relationship. About 10 years in, I was able to buy them out with the help of First Source Bank, one of what I consider my strong partners in this community. So my children were young at the time, and it required a lot of hard work and some time away from home in the initial part to be trained, but it was all worth it. I never doubted what we were doing. I had confidence in the business and in the business model. I knew how to lead. I've become better and better at surrounding myself with good, strong people. And that is, to me, the key to our success, and I would imagine the key to most businesses. It's the people. I'm not the one doing all of the work. I'm guiding the team. Yes, I'm working hard alongside them, but I'm guiding the team. So the people that I surround myself with are critical. But, we're breakfast and lunch, and over the years, we've evolved to much more than that. So
You've now talked about people, you've talked about partnerships. If you're from the area, you recognize that you cross-promote so much. You love this city. It's very clear. Tell us about why the partnerships are so important to you, and the partnerships that maybe have allowed you to grow personally or professionally to where you're at today.
Right. I think I'm a natural collaborator. I feel it's really important to give people a leg up when they need it. I certainly have been given those opportunities in my life, and I know how important that is. So that's natural for me in what I do. And then to be able to collaborate with not-for-profits, with different restaurants and restaurant owners, newer, smaller, people that need a little help in promoting themselves. It's just important. It's hard for me to explain. I guess all ships rise with all ships succeed with the rising tide. Right.
Yeah.
So I feel strongly in that if I can help lift others up, that's important. And it's not unlike what we do within these walls. So what I do within the walls, I try to take out into the community, I suppose. So my staff understands the importance of teamwork. So to me, I'm part of the downtown team. I'm part of the South Bend team. If somebody asks me to do something, I say yes. Because it's important. I have certain talents and certain things that I can offer to people, and it's important to me to give that. I think it's really important to treat people how they want to be treated. So if I learn that through learning about what people need, then I'm able to find that. And so at one time I thought it was treat others how you want to be treated, but I think it's also very important to find out how they want to be treated. And I'll give a little credit to someone who used to work for me, who now is a front of the house manager at Rose Lily. Andrew Teal said those words just recently, actually, in a development conference that we both attended, and I believe that firmly. So a little twist on something that we've all probably learned. So
That's great advice, actually, especially being in the service industry. And even within the service industry, one of the questions I like to ask on this podcast is, tell me about what's happening in the business, and tell me about what's next. But it's unique. This is unique because of something that happened back in 2020, the pandemic. And although it impacted every individual and every business, your industry was severely impacted. So what did life look like prior to COVID, and then what changed coming out of it?
Sure. I enjoy talking about this. People say, did you survive? I say yes, and actually we are now thriving, so we didn't just survive. Going into 2020, we had just expanded, so we took on a substantial loan and expanded, added another 1,100 square feet to our footprint. We added our coffee juice bar seating area, as well as the juicing. The fact that we sold Bloody Marys and mimosas was a little bit more prevalent because of the layout, how we changed it. And then we also had what was called our Kelly case. My business partner's name is Kelly, so it's a little spin on a deli case. And for quick grab-and-go things, which we haven't brought back yet, but we will bring it back, so that might be something new.
I will be a customer when you bring that back.
Okay, great. We'll bring it back. So we were going into 2020 ready to blow 2019 out of the water sales-wise, and so that was great. Had a little extra cash in the bank when life shifted for us. And when we needed to shut down, we did try to do carry out for a couple days, and then we realized that wasn't part of our model and wouldn't be good for the staff, so it wouldn't be good for the whole group, for the restaurant. So we called the staff together and told them they all needed to get on unemployment. I said, everybody go into the walk-in and take whatever food you want. The rest we gave to Cultivate. Prior to them coming for that meeting, I went over to First Source Bank and wrote a nice big check for cash and handed it out to our employees. In the restaurant business, people rely on their tips every single day. So we couldn't wait until they got on unemployment. They couldn't wait until they got on unemployment. We needed to hand them some cash. And my business partner, who was critical helping us get through all of this, her name is Kelly, as I said, she said, how big of a check should we write? And I said, how big of a check can we write? And that's what we did. And she said, what if they don't come back? I said, it's okay if they don't come back. They've gotten us to this point. So we need to help them. And that's how we did it. And then we did hand out money 2 other times during our shutdown based on what people needed. And that is how we operate. We don't succeed without them. So whether they were coming back or not, they, as I said, they're critical to what we were doing. So and we took about 3 weeks off, my partner and I, to just take that time off. And then we got at figuring out how we were going to pivot. And we decided any decisions that we made, we would ask ourselves, is it good for the staff? Is it good for the customers? And if we didn't check both of those boxes, we didn't do what we were talking about. And we held very true to that. So we did Zoom calls and phone calls with the staff during the time that we were closed, asking them, making sure they were okay and asking them what they wanted to see change or improve when we came back. Schedule was the top thing for all of the employees. So when we reopened, we did it gradually, and first on the weekends, just on the patio, and then adding days in. And we landed on Thursday through Monday, so we are only open 5 days a week now, and decided that's where we were going to stay. After operating a business for 18 years, 7 days a week, I used to brag about, yep, we're only closed Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that sounded just so great and so, wow, what a strong business. And never really thinking, what's that like for the staff? What's that like for me? What's that doing to me? So when we got to the 5 days and held that for a while, then we learned it's better for everyone, no matter what. On Monday afternoons, we say to each other, have a good weekend, and we all go take 2 days off. And we all get rejuvenated in that time, so we're all better people on Thursday morning than we would have been. So we also close over the 4th of July and Christmas, and we pay the staff for that time, and that's our time that we take off. And we've just worked that into our budget. So we operate 110 days less than we did 2019 and prior, and we do more in sales, 110 days less a year. I know, it's just amazing. So I'll give a real shout out to my business partner, Kelly, one who she doesn't live locally. We work 5 to 10 hours a week together on the phone or Zoom calls or emails, whatever. And she does all of our accounting and payroll and all the stuff that I'm not really great at, nor do I really love to do it. So she figured out, getting the PPP loans, and our budget just works now. We build in these things, and you make more money when you're working with a budget than you do when you're just doing it by the seat of your pants, which is what I did most of the time prior to her joining me. She joined me in 2017, so it's a true partnership, and I wouldn't be where I am without her either. So.
Well, you mentioned First Source earlier, and I was actually in here having lunch with one of my mentors, Ron Zeltwanger. Shout out to Ron. And we were talking with you, and I brought up the book Unreasonable Hospitality. And I was hoping you hadn't heard of it, but you're like, I've read it a couple times.
Right.
You've now talked about your culture here in a roundabout way.
Right.
It's one thing to go into a restaurant and leave just feeling like you had a good experience as a customer. It's another thing to look at it through the lens of the restaurant owner and the staff, of the things that you intentionally do to provide a great experience. You mentioned being there at the front when people walk in and they leave. What are some other things that you guys do? Because you've kept a staff,
right,
which is so special. Tell us about the culture.
Sure. So I do almost all of the interviews. So and hiring and orientations. I let people know what the expectations are right from the start. So in the interview, if I don't enjoy sitting with you for 15 minutes, then you're probably not an extension of me, an extension of our leadership to touch our customers or touch the other employees, right? I did at one time not realize that the dishwasher, who never speaks to the customers, I didn't realize how important the personality of the dishwasher was.
Right.
Every time a server walks in back, they're talking to the dishwasher. And if the dishwasher's cranky, then that's not good. So now that's my most recent aha moment of, wow, we have 2 women in the dish room now that are super happy playing music. They're dancing back there. Everybody's happy, you know. So some of the things that we do, we walk the customers to the table. We tell them to enjoy their breakfast. We let them know their server's name. Our staff doesn't wear name tags. There's a reason for that. We want them to say their name. We want them to learn the names of the customers when they have the opportunity to do that, and they do that. They work hard at that. In the early days when I started realizing how important it was to have a relationship with Notre Dame and with the alumni and the customers that might come just once a year, or actually once every other year, right? A customer that is coming for the Michigan State game, they're only coming every other year. But I have employees that would remember their names of these people that come every other year. They remember their children. They say, wow, you boys have grown up a little bit in the last 2 years. I mean, they work hard at it. I reward them for that. I reward them for learning the students' names and where they come from. They get the shirt from Notre Dame when they come to me with 5 facts about customers, and that's 5 facts in one day. And if they don't get them, then they start again tomorrow, and maybe they can earn their shirt tomorrow. And that's during move-in weekend and different weekends where we see a lot of traffic. So that stuff is pretty intuitive for me, and then it becomes intuitive for them. And there's a little competitive spirit for them. You know, did you get your shirt yet? I got my shirt yesterday. You know, that kind of thing. I really try hard to find out how my people want to be treated and what's important to them. So yes, I have retained a staff. I have people that have been here. So we're coming up on our 25th anniversary in February. I have people that have been here 22, 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, then down to 8, 7, 6, 5 years. I don't have a person that works in my kitchen that has been there less than 5 years, which is pretty rare in a kitchen. I mean, it's rare in a restaurant. Doesn't mean we don't have some that come and go pretty quickly, but our core group stays with us, and I work very hard to treat them well. It's a great place to work. Who doesn't want to come in and be among people that they want to be with? And so we work hard at it, and I've got a great management team that understands that. I mean, they really understand it, and yes, I've led by example on that, but they get it and they take it even further than I do by engaging with the staff and understanding what's really important to them. So,
my goodness, I am blown away.
Well,
and I'm sure that's just scratching the surface of what you've tried to be intentional about while leading this business.
Right.
My goodness, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Well, the title of this podcast is The Path Less Traveled. When you think about your leadership journey and you think about that title, how do you relate?
Sure. Well, I was studying elementary education when I was at school at IU, and I got a job at a McCree's Deli. That was their first franchise. McCree's, that's based up here in South Bend, opened a franchise unit, and I got a job as a waitress, and I only waitressed for 9 months because somebody saw some leadership qualities in me and asked me if I wanted to be a manager. And so I think I was pretty good at it. I think managing people is learning about the people and being able to talk to them and find out what will motivate them. Everybody's a little bit different. My dad was the first layperson president at St. Joe Med Center, and he passed away in 1984, so it's been some time since he was there, but he was the president when he passed away. And I think maybe they had 400 employees. That's a pretty big crew to lead. And he kind of led our family in that same way. He talked to us. We had family meetings. He found out what was working and what wasn't. I'm not sure, We had chores and obligations, and we had to be honest with him, and he expected us to work hard. He was a single dad. My mom had passed away at an early age as well, and so he had a big job. He couldn't do all the grocery shopping or whatever, so we had to do all that, and it was just expected. So he laid out the expectations. We followed them, and we knew that there would be some consequences if we didn't. Maybe we wouldn't have dinner that night, right, if we weren't all working together as a team. So he also had us working as a team. So I'm amazed at what I learned from him for being such a young person, but I did. I actually some of his peers still come in the restaurant. And just 2 weeks ago, a doctor stopped. He comes in once a month with the retired physicians group, and then he was here on a Sunday, and he stopped and kind of grabbed my hand and said, "Your dad would be so proud of you." And it meant the world to me to hear that from someone who knew my dad and knew him well. So I got that early on from him, and he would be proud of me.
You've received advice from so many people, I'm sure. You've surrounded yourself with strong individuals. You mentioned it earlier. When you look back on maybe a younger you, what advice would you give to somebody that's starting off in the restaurant business or just a young leader? Or
Sure.
what do you wish you would have received?
Right. There was a long period where I thought that I needed to know all of the answers. So I worked very hard to know all the answers, to be able to do every job. And I still can do every job. I don't have to do every job very often anymore. But I might tell myself or tell other young leaders, you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to know where to find them. You have to surround yourself with good people, but you really don't have to know all of the answers. But to continue trying to find the answers and learning from those around you and learning from your own mistakes is so important. We have hard conversations with people, mostly the staff. You know, a couple times a week you have a challenging conversation, and I have no issue having those conversations because I'm confident on the other side something good will happen. And so I think knowing that being open and honest and empathetic with whoever you're speaking to, I would tell a young leader, just do that and keep learning and learn from your mistakes and do a little better next time, you know.
When you think about hard conversations, how long ago did you have this realization of this? Was there a moment, was there a conversation that you recall that, oh my goodness, I need to do this better the next time?
Yes. Well, that was a time when there were 2 times very early on in my career. I was 23 years old and had many employees that were older than me, taller than me, you know, bigger than me, and I had to correct them or discipline them in some way. And one person that I terminated, I said, I'm just not going to tolerate that in this kitchen. That's not how I want it run. He said, this is the way it is in every kitchen. I said, well, not in this kitchen. It won't be that way. And he was pretty intimidating and wasn't happy with the fact that I was letting him go. And then we had to work very hard to cover his shifts and everything else. I also let go of someone mid-shift and found myself cleaning the grill at the end of the day. So a little lesson that I learned is don't fire someone before they do their side work or clean the grill. So yeah, that was, and I kiddingly say that when I say to someone, I want to chat with you at the end of the day, they might say, what's going on? I'm like, well, don't worry. I'm not letting you go because I don't want to do your work. So that was a lesson. You know, it's funny to often say, you know, what I lead, we have about 27 to 33 people on our staff at any time. And so it's a small group. It's a relatively small group, but leadership is leadership. You can be a little more hands-on when it's a small group, and I am definitely more hands-on, but at the end of the day, it's about talking to people and connecting with people and understanding what they need, what they want, how I get them there, and how can I coach them. Over the years, I have, literally employed hundreds of people and a lot of first-time job people. This is a great first-time job, and it's not just my job to train and coach these people. It's everyone's job that's on our team, and they know that. And the new people know I can ask anyone in this building how to do this because everyone has been here longer than me, and I put that responsibility on the staff as well. If you see someone doing something that isn't the way we do, it's your job to correct it. And I encourage that. And it builds a strong team. And the new people understand who they can lean on, and they know that there's always somebody that will help them get through something. So.
One of the questions I love asking individuals that have seen success, and everybody defines success differently. But when you look back on just some of the things or a thing that you're most proud of, when you think about that question, what comes to mind? Something you're most proud of?
I think the culture that we have built, the business that we have built, when we have customers that are waiting an hour and 15 minutes for breakfast on a Sunday, the pride that I take in that, and I look around, and it's just a moment, because I can't spend a lot of time standing around looking at the business, right? But I just say, wow, we have really built something. And so I'm just really proud of us living out our mission, and on an incredibly busy home game Sunday, when a customer takes the time to come up to me before they leave to say, wow, you really have an outstanding place here. Our food is good. Often that's part of the compliment that we get, but it's more often, your people are outstanding.
Wow.
This server was outstanding. When someone tells me that they had outstanding service, I say you could be talking about any one of our servers, because that's what they all do. And so I take great pride in that, in what we have built. And it's kind of hard to describe it, I think. Sometimes when I'm in here, like right now, when we're closed and it's quiet, I look around. We've expanded twice. We are, every year our sales grow. We continue to come up with new things. I'm just proud of all of those things, and proud to be a big part of South Bend. As we talked about before, really proud of the relationship that we've established with Notre Dame. That's been a really big deal for us, and we worked hard at it. And, when the lacrosse team calls and says, can I send the boys in today? Of course you can. We'll take good care of them. We have been feeding the football team. We have many of the teams and students and student groups here, and that doesn't just happen. I know how hard we've worked at it, so very proud of that.
I think about how hard you work at this. Mm-hmm. Work at building this restaurant, this company. Work at building up your staff. Working at building up yourself as a leader. You're a daughter, you're a sister, you're a mother. It's a women-owned business. How do you balance everything while also being mom?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I'm much more balanced today, working 5 days a week, than I was for the 18 years that I worked more than 5 days a week. So now I exercise regularly. I take quiet time. I read a lot. I have very fulfilling relationships with my girlfriends, my sisters. I feel that's really important for me. My children are super important to me. They all worked in the restaurant. They all helped us get to where we are. My middle daughter still does our marketing, so she's still fairly involved in what we're doing here. All three of them got married in the last year and a half, and to my good fortune, I was able to be super present for all of them, super involved in their weddings, help them with the expense of the wedding and the planning and the day of and the day after. And that would not have happened in my previous pre-COVID life. I don't know that I would have seen how important that was or been able to take the time. I take more time off now, keeping my health and happiness at the center. That would be advice I would have given to my young self. Don't lose focus on keeping yourself healthy and happy, because how can you lead if you're not? In my opinion, I'm a much better leader now today than I was 10 or 15 years ago. I'm thankful for the people that stuck it out through the times when I had a little more stress on my shoulders, and they stuck with me. They could see the real me through that, but I didn't show that every day, I don't think. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, I've got one final question for you, and then I'll just get your final thoughts as we wrap up. You're kind to everybody that walks through that door. What's one of the kindest things someone's done for you?
Oh, boy. Well, that's
And I'll give you some time to think
Sure.
about it. Whether it could be personally, professionally, it could be in the community, whatever.
Right.
What comes to mind?
That wasn't on the prep sheet. I think every day someone does something kind for me, whether it is the staff giving back and working harder than maybe they knew they were going to, or harder maybe even than they're being paid for. That, I don't know if that's tangible enough, but It's hard for me to think of one specific thing. The partnerships that we have with, as I mentioned, First Source Bank, Krugel, many of the not-for-profits, they're very kind all the time. I think probably the biggest thing is that customer that stops me to tell me how great everything is. And they say it specifically. It's told to me at a time when I need it. I will have customers, so I don't know if I don't think you come in often on a really busy time, but there could be 30 people standing in the lobby and we're running a little behind on our weight quote. And there's a customer who, this is probably one of the most kind things, this woman could see the stress on my face and she was across the lobby, many people in between us, and she just looked at me. And this is something that my son also used to do. He would look across the restaurant and give me a, just breathe, mom, kind of thing. And this woman did that, and then she motioned for me to take a drink of water because she could see the stress I was dealing with. So that, to me, for someone to recognize that and know how important that was, so it's in those moments of chaos, I think, that somebody says to me, you're doing a great job. You're really dealing with a lot. You're doing a great job. And that's something that, interesting, I was out of town this past weekend, went to several restaurants and had different experiences with the servers, and I find myself saying to the staff, you're really doing a great job. And I don't really think about it, I just do it. And until you ask that question, I don't think I realized that's part of why. When I am told, keep up the good work, you're doing great, your staff is great, it's what I need to hear. And I think it's intentional when I'm hearing that, so now it's intentional for me to give that. It's pretty easy to be kind, and I think, it would be great if more people recognize how easy it is.
I'm so happy we got there.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal response, and it's something that you take for granted. You mentioned earlier on, treat people how they want to be treated.
Right.
And that's exactly, you are a kind person. Your team are kind people. Let's not take that for granted as customers because you're working at it.
Right.
And it's a part of the fabric of the culture, absolutely. But to the level that you guys go to create that great experience, it's something to be recognized. Well, as we close out, what final thoughts do you have that you want to share about leadership, your journey, the restaurant here? The floor is yours.
Right. Okay. I think it's really important to understand your own leadership philosophy and just continue working at it and understand you are always being watched, you're being listened to, and there's nothing wrong with going back to a customer or to an employee or a manager that you're mentoring and saying, I could have handled that better. That's one of the best things I think that we can teach people. I'm not perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. And I think it's important to recognize when you make a mistake and to own it and to improve it. So I would say that's really important. To find passion in what you do is so important. And I get to talk to a lot of the mostly Notre Dame students as they're graduating, and that's what I tell them when I have the opportunity. Find your passion. The success will follow. I'm a firm believer in that. If you love what you do, and I'm also super grateful that I get a nice paycheck for doing what I love to do. And, we spend a lot of time at work. So I think it's really important to be happy in your place of work. And I say that to my new people, if this isn't for you, don't stick around. It's fine. Go find something that you want to do. But I believe that's really important to me. And that's what I say to my children. It's what I say to my people here that are going somewhere else. Don't settle for less than what you have here. I might set the bar pretty high, but I've had a lot of experience. And again, I'm not the perfect boss, but I work hard at it, and I know that they see that. So the success of the restaurant is something that I am super proud of. And I was with a friend this weekend on Sunday and said, do you feel a little dread on a Sunday knowing that your work week starts tomorrow? And he said, a little bit, not like it used to be, but a little bit. And he didn't ask me the question back, but I would have said, I never feel that. I never feel that. I love to come back to work. I love to be here. I'm happy when I walk through the door, and I feel super, super grateful for that. So.
Well, I'm grateful for you doing this interview. It's a staple in our community, PEGGS. It's a place, if you haven't been, I would be surprised if you haven't been. But if you haven't been, you should come here and check it out because it's really good food, even better people, and a great experience. So thank you again for doing this.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Pathless Travel Podcast with the owner of PEGGS, Peg Dalton. Until next week, have a great day.